Greetings and salutations from central Louisiana, just a few miles west of Dry Prong. Today's excursion is project as I finally managed to get the flywheel off this International Harvester LA. This day's just be a compilation of pics of my successes and failures and disgust and joy and enthusiasm, but it's coming up here, so you don't have to listen to me prattle too much longer. Okay, today I'm fighting this lock bolt for the flywheel. I've got it up on its head and working with it here. You know, I found I can get to it using a crow's foot socket, which would help. But I've heated it and I've sprayed it down with some more liquid wrench. I need to let it set and go from there. So I did figure out what this tube was here, right here. Tube goes up into the chamber that has the governor control. I take it there's probably some felts in there somewhere to keep it from just leaking all the oil out, but that's what that's for. And I've got a breather over here I noticed that is plugged with all sorts of debris, so I'll have to try to clean that out. You might ask, why am I struggling so much to take off that flywheel, this flywheel here, and the belt pulley. Well, I want to clean up underneath both of them and get a good paint job, but the other issue is inside the crankcase, you know, the piston is seized and the rod end is such that I can't get a wrench on the inside portion. I get one on the outside, but unless I can get a wrench on that inside, there's no sense in doing any more in here because I can't get that rod end off. And if there was any chance of spinning it, you know, it's not there. So probably what I'm going to have to do is where the rod's at, it's in a fair position, not too bad. Whenever I go to pressing on the piston, maybe I can get it to rotate just enough so I can get a better grip on the retaining bolt over here on the flywheel. But again, that is where we're finding it today. They couldn't have put this bolt in a more unfriendly location. Almost like they didn't want you to ever take a flywheel off. As the saga continues, I found out, well, I say this breather tube is not threaded, it was just a press-in fit, so I'm able to rotate it. So I need to rotate it up back behind this flywheel area so I can get this new nut splitter in here and try to work on the nut that is being upheld. So, yeah. I'm having to go through all sorts of gyrations to try to get this to break loose. Okay, I tried all sorts of things. Heat, chisels, nut splitters, and I've given up and I'm gone nuclear here. I've got the die grinder out, and I'm going to see if I can just grind this nut away. Camera in here to see it or not, but I'm just going to grind that nut away best I can. As I said, I gave up being kind and I went nuclear with the die grinder. I'm getting there, it's a tough nut and a bolt there. Whoever made it ought to be proud of themselves. Well, it looks like it's beginning to flake away. Take a chisel and see if I can knock some more of that nut off. When I get enough of it to release, then hopefully I can just drive that bolt right straight back out the other side. It was a booger. I heated it, I used some penetrating oil on it, did everything I could, and it just would not budge. It was in a very hard and tight place to get to. I had a crow's foot socket that would fit on it, but it wouldn't give me enough room to turn it. So like I say, after heat, all that fun stuff, I finally just gave up and went nuclear and took the die grinder to it. Luckily it fit in that space and I could get this done. Now the fun part comes in getting the flywheel completely off. Well, I got the flywheel to drift out about 1/16 of an inch. At least now you can see where it has moved out. I'm about whipped out by all the whamming and bamming and carrying on. Even to the point I'm not even sure I'm going to put my tools up and down. I may just leave them out. But I will work on this more later on. So they say necessity is the mother of invention. I'm not sure if Mother would appreciate my using frog tape to attach a nut on this angle iron, but I'm going to use the angle iron across the face of the flywheel with the nut here on the shaft, and I'm going to put a C-clamp here and here, and that should give me enough forward motion to see if I can drift this on off. Well, my angle iron idea was basically a failure. Hasn't really moved it any more than it was, so I guess I'll have to punt and try something different. Okay, I got the clamp bolt out yesterday by going the nuclear option, but at this point the flywheel, I tapped on it here and it did drift back a little bit, about maybe a 1/64 of an inch, but that's as far as she's moved. Now I've put heat around the outer edges to see if I could break it up. It's been soaking in penetrating oil there. I've been spraying that in, but she doesn't want to budge. Some talk about reaching up in there and spreading the clamping wings where the bolt was at, but that is if you've got a perfect arrangement to get into it. And as I've said before, this engine stopped at what I would call the imperfect storm. It was such that I could not get to the bolt to speak of to get under here and undo the clamp. I had one narrow window and I had to get in there with a die grinder and grind that bolt off just to get that to break loose there. But as far as the flywheel and getting back into those clamping wings, that's going to be a next to impossible task. It's almost as bad as trying to get inside this area and get this lower bolt here. There's not enough room to get an open-end wrench on it. The angle's wrong. There's not enough room to get a closed-end wrench on it. There's not enough space, so it's all boiling down. I guess I'm going to have to wait until I can get the piston pusher in and see if I can't push this piston far enough back, and then I can possibly rotate some things. I do need to go ahead. I've gone this far and pull the flywheel so I can clean up that area exceptionally well and get inside and clean up all the gears. So it's grungy inside. It's savable, but I just got to get certain things to fall in line like a bunch of dominoes. Well, I finally got a grip and it looks like the right spot, and managed to use this hoss of a chisel as a wedge to move it. So we shall see. Working my way through it here slowly, one step at a time. If I can keep wedging it off like that, hopefully it'll come on off. So we'll see. There it is. It's beginning to move. You can see the shiny part of the shaft there is being exposed. I just have to find something to wedge it well enough to keep it coming. Slow and methodical. No easy things about any of these pieces of equipment. Looky here what it's doing. And it fell just like I figured it would, but it's stopped on the Belt pulley. It's off. Hey, it's off. And there it is after several days of working on it. As you might have guessed, I finally had to break down and managed to get a chisel in here, in between. With all the heat and all, I know I have fried the seals. I'll have to replace those. But it came out. It came off. A lot of working with it and improvising, painter's tape and shims to the rescue to give me more grip for this chisel. But finally I've got this wheel off. And to whoever said, y'all, it'd come off easy, I have a tribute to give you. Looking at this vent tube that I had to bend over earlier, I thought it was a press fit, but it looks like there's some threads on it, so it may have been threaded in and then bent in place. I don't know. We'll see how deep the threads go and see if I can rotate it off to get in there to help clean. But I've gone this far. I guess I'm past the point of no return. I've got to keep chugging along. Now if I can just get this gib key on the other side to stop laughing at me and come out, then we will be doing exceptionally well. But with the gib key, I guess I can turn this motor back up on its feet and not have to fight with it as I've been fighting with it to get access to a bolt. But whoever put this gib key in did not do me any favors. It is facing inward, not outward. If it's facing outward, I could make a jig, you know, and pull with a screw here in the center. But whatever kind soul put it in didn't do that for me. One thing about dealing with these old engines that some people don't grasp is it's not a clean job. You're not going to stay pristine and pretty. You're going to have to get your hands dirty. You're going to get your clothes dirty, and you're going to get greasy, and you're going to get grimy. But guess what? In the end, it's all going to be worth it.